The value of a teacher: compensation, contribution, and legacy. Throughout my life, I have studied with and observed a wide variety of teachers, instructors, mentors, coaches, authors, clergy, and educators. Some charged substantial fees for their services. Others charged very little. A few seemingly taught for free. Yet, despite these differences, many shared a common goal: helping others improve themselves, acquire knowledge, develop skills, and become better versions of themselves. This has led me to ponder an interesting question. If two individuals possess similar knowledge, experience, and teaching ability, why does one command significantly higher compensation than the other? What determines the value of a teacher, a lesson, or a body of knowledge? The answer is more complex than it first appears. It involves economics, psychology, philosophy, human behavior, marketing, networking, and perhaps even our deeper understanding of what constitutes a meaningful life. The difference between value and price. One of the first lessons I learned in both business and education is that value and price are not necessarily the same thing. A highly skilled Tai Chi instructor in a wealthy metropolitan area may charge several $100s for a private lesson, while an equally skilled instructor in a small rural community may charge a fraction of that amount. The difference may have little to do with the quality of instruction and much to do with demographics, local economics, networking, marketing, and perceived value. Similarly, some authors sell millions of books, while others with equal or greater expertise struggle to reach a small audience. Some speakers command large appearance fees, while others speak to small groups for little compensation. In many cases, people pay not only for knowledge, but also for reputation, accessibility, presentation, convenience, credentials, and social proof. This reality can be frustrating because we often want to believe that expertise alone determines success, yet experience suggests that the ability to communicate value is frequently as important as the knowledge itself. As someone who has spent decades in the wellness, martial arts, and holistic health fields, I have observed this phenomenon repeatedly. I have known exceptionally skilled practitioners who dedicated their lives to studying human movement, health, breathing methods, philosophy, self-cultivation, and personal development, yet struggled financially throughout much of their careers. Some possessed extraordinary knowledge and practical skill, but lacked the business experience, networking opportunities, marketing ability, or desire for self-promotion that often accompanies financial success. Conversely, I have encountered individuals with less depth of knowledge who prospered because they were highly effective marketers, communicators, networkers, or entrepreneurs. While expertise certainly matters, the marketplace frequently rewards visibility and perceived value as much as actual knowledge. This observation is not intended as criticism. Teaching and business are separate skill sets. Mastering one does not automatically guarantee mastery of the other. Some of the finest teachers I have known were not particularly interested in business. Likewise, some successful business people are remarkably effective at presenting information, even when their knowledge base may not be especially deep. The ideal situation, of course, occurs when deep expertise and effective communication coexist within the same individual. Such teachers not only possess valuable knowledge, but also have the ability to reach larger audiences and positively influence more people. Why students often value what they invest in. There's also a psychological component to the equation. People tend to place greater value on things in which they have invested time, money, effort, or sacrifice. Behavioral researchers have long observed that individuals often place greater importance on outcomes that require meaningful investment to obtain. Most teachers have observed this firsthand. A free workshop may attract many registrations, but few committed participants. The same workshop with a modest fee often attracts fewer people but greater engagement. The information may be identical, yet the student's commitment differs. This does not mean that knowledge itself becomes more valuable because of the price. Rather, the student's willingness to learn may increase because they have invested something of themselves in the process. From a holistic perspective, learning is rarely a one-way transaction. The teacher contributes knowledge and experience, the student contributes effort, attention, discipline, and often financial resources. Together, these elements create an environment conducive to growth. The idea of free knowledge. Many people believe that valuable knowledge should be freely shared for the benefit of humanity. There is certainly merit to this perspective. Human progress has often depended upon individuals who generously shared their discoveries, teachings, and insights with others. Scientific advancement, philosophical inquiry, spiritual traditions, and educational institutions have all benefited from those willing to contribute knowledge beyond their own personal gain. As someone who has spent decades teaching health, wellness, martial arts, breathing methods, stress management, and self-development, I understand the appeal of this viewpoint. There is genuine satisfaction in helping others become healthier, stronger, more capable, and more self-aware. However, there is also a practical reality that cannot be ignored: the reality of making a living. While many people advocate for freely sharing wisdom and education, teachers live in the same economic world as everyone else. They must pay for housing, food, transportation, healthcare, utilities, taxes, insurance, and countless other necessities of daily life. If an individual teaches full-time yet receives no compensation, how are they expected to survive economically? We do not live in an alternative reality where goods and services magically appear without cost. Every civilization throughout history has developed some form of exchange system, whether through barter, patronage, gifts, labor, donations, or currency. Human societies have always found ways to compensate those who provide value. Even many of history's great teachers received support. Philosophers often relied on patrons. Monastic communities depended upon donations. Martial arts masters accepted tuition, gifts, lodging, or labor from students. Religious leaders were frequently sustained by the communities they served. The form of compensation varied, but the principle remained consistent. Those who dedicate their lives to helping others generally require support from those who benefit from their efforts. This reality also exposes a contradiction that occasionally emerges in discussions about teaching and service. Many people argue that wisdom should be freely given, yet few professionals voluntarily abandon their own incomes to provide full-time services without compensation. Likewise, I have met very few teachers who genuinely accept nothing in return, even when money is absent. Gifts, donations, meals, lodging, favors, social support, or prestige often become alternative forms of exchange. If everything were truly free, there would be little incentive for many individuals to dedicate decades of study and practice toward mastering a subject and then teaching it to others. Most people are willing to volunteer some of their time. Few can realistically volunteer all of their time indefinitely while still meeting their own needs and obligations. Perhaps the more realistic question is not whether teachers should be compensated, but rather what constitutes fair compensation and how to balance earning a living with serving others. The problem with measuring success by money alone. At the same time, compensation should not become the sole measure of a teacher's worth. Modern society often equates financial success with competence, wisdom, or importance. Those with large followings, best-selling books, substantial incomes, and celebrity status are frequently assumed to be superior teachers. History suggests otherwise. Some of humanity's most influential teachers accumulated little wealth. Others amassed considerable fortunes. Neither outcome automatically validates nor invalidates their contribution. The true value of a teacher may be difficult to measure using financial metrics alone. How do we quantify the student who overcame depression after receiving guidance? How do we measure the impact of a mentor who inspired someone to pursue a healthier lifestyle? How do we assign monetary value to wisdom that prevented years of unnecessary suffering? How do we calculate the worth of helping another human being discover purpose, confidence, resilience, or meaning? These outcomes rarely appear on financial statements, yet they may represent the most meaningful contributions a teacher can make. The yin and yang of compensation and contribution. From the perspective of Eastern philosophy, this issue resembles a yin-yang relationship. Compensation and contribution are not opposing forces. They are complementary forces that require balance. Too much emphasis on profit can transform teaching into little more than a business transaction. Knowledge becomes commodified and students become customers rather than individuals seeking growth. Conversely, too little concern for compensation may leave the teacher unable to continue serving others. Burnout, financial hardship, and exhaustion can ultimately diminish the teacher's ability to contribute. The healthiest path often lies somewhere between these extremes. A teacher deserves fair compensation for their time, expertise, experience, and effort. At the same time, the highest purpose of teaching may extend beyond financial reward. The income supports the mission, but it does not become the mission itself. This balanced approach reflects a broader principle found throughout nature and human life. Excess in either direction often creates imbalance. Sustainable systems require equilibrium. What matters at the end? As I have grown older, I have become increasingly aware that life is finite. Many of us spend our younger years pursuing achievements, recognition, credentials, status, and financial security. These pursuits certainly have their place. Yet with age, often comes a different perspective. Research on well-being consistently demonstrates that meaning, purpose, relationships, and contribution are among the strongest predictors of life satisfaction. When people reflect upon their lives, they often focus less on how much they accumulated and more on what they contributed. How many people did they help? How many lives did they improve? How many students gained confidence, health, wisdom, skill, or direction because someone took the time to teach them? Many of the most knowledgeable and influential teachers may never become wealthy or famous, yet their impact can still be profound. The student whose life was changed, the person who regained their health, the individual who found purpose and meaning, or the family whose future was improved through guidance and education may ultimately be a more meaningful measure of success than financial prosperity alone. I suspect that few people reach the end of their lives wishing they had acquired slightly more money, a larger house, or a few more possessions. Many may find greater comfort in knowing they shared what they had learned, helped others navigate life's challenges, and contributed something meaningful to future generations. This does not diminish the importance of earning a living. Teachers, like everyone else, must support themselves and their families. Compensation is neither selfish nor unethical when it is fair and honest. Yet, perhaps the greatest reward is not measured in dollars. Perhaps it is found in the knowledge that one's efforts mattered, that students learned, that people benefited, that life's improved, that someone became healthier, wiser, stronger, or more self-aware because of something we shared. And perhaps in the end, someone appreciated our intent more than we realized. In the final analysis, the most enduring measure of a teacher may not be the size of their bank account, the number of students they enrolled, or the amount of recognition they accumulated. It may be the positive influence they left behind and the lives they touched along the way. A meaningful life may involve both earning a living and making a difference. The challenge is finding the wisdom to balance the two.